I'd like to share with you guys a little story. So, it was a long journey, and we were traveling across the long and windy roads of the countryside, filled with farm fields that swayed in the wind. It was nice and beautiful, except for the cow poop that you could smell by farms. That was not beautiful. That smelled like ass and murder and stuff. But it was a long journey. We were trying to get from point A to point B. And then from point B to point C. And as always, we got hungry. So my family and I, we were traveling in a car, and then we all started starving. We were thinking to ourselves we wouldn't need to stop all that much, but then our stomachs went, oh my God, I'm starving. Shut up, stomach. You're not allowed to be hungry, because we had a job to do. We had to get point A to point B. And then from point B to point C. But our stomachs were like, screw you! Obey me! I need food! And so then we gave in to our stomachs that are surprisingly not at our asses, but actually in our stomachs. So then we drove, and then we saw this little, a little gas station that played the cringy-ass country music. I'm American, and I'm a cowboy, and I swing the whip. American Jones. Oh. So yeah, so it was that area. But there were also other places too, fast food restaurants. Well, actually, there weren't many. There was only one, and it was called Ronald McSussyBaka's. Based on my experience, every time a place has the word sus in it, it means it's sus. But of course, we had no choice. We were in the middle of nowhere. We were in a gas station in the middle of nowhere that played cringy-ass country music. I'm going down with the banjo on my knee. And so, we had no choice but to go eat at Ronald McSussyBaka's. I begged my mom and dad. I was like, Mama, Dada, do not go there. We should not be here. It's Ronald McSussyBaka's. It has the word sus in it. And when something has the word sus, it means it's sus. But my mom and dad looked at me and they're like, you're just being paranoid. I'm sure it's fine. And so we went in, and it was sus. For one thing, as I said earlier, it had the cringy country music. American Jones! America great! America great! But that's not all. It was also a fast food restaurant. And that immediately means that it's sus, because fast food is sus, because it's made in factories with questionable environmental practices and questionable food product. But of course, we had no choice, because because our stomachs wanted food. And I'm just looking down at my stomach, looking down the ice. And I'm like, why? Why are you in my stomach? You should be in my ass, because you're being an ass. Of course, my stomach was just gargling and growling. It's not a human, so it didn't respond to my question. So I'm just looking down and like, really? We had to get hungry now? In the middle of nowhere? Oh! And so, yeah. And another thing that made it sus was that its mascot was a clown. And so, yeah, you know something sus with its mascot's a clown. It has the word sus. And so, my parents and I, we had the choice, though. We had to endure it. And my parents are like, it's fine. Be an optimist. Stop being a cynic. Stop being a cynical little baby. You're 21 years old. You know what that means? You're 10 years older than 9. Because 9 plus 10 equals 21. And I'm like, what the frick is your logic, Mom and Dad? And they're like, what is your logic, son? And so we sat down, and one thing that made it really sus was that nobody was present. Now, I get it's in the middle of nowhere, but even fast food restaurants in the middle of nowhere have, customers. Like, not just a family, but like multiple people. You got the truckers with the American tattoos, who are like, I like America, and all that. And the people that are just traveling to get from point A to point B. But no, we were the only ones present. And the restaurant was big. It was the biggest fast food restaurant I'd ever seen. Like the size of a mansion. The size of a mansion. And we were the only ones present. So we sat down and we ordered and we looked at the stuff and it said, try McSussyBaka's SussyBaka nuggets. They're so good that they're SussyBaka's. And try McSussyBaka's McSussybaka fries because they're so McSussybaka good. And try McSussyBaka's McSussybaka flurry because it's so good. And the McSussybaka burger because it's so good of a burger that it's McSussybaka good. And I'm like, what the frick is this marketing strategy, bro? What is this? And so we had no choice. I went for the McSussyBaka nuggets because they looked good. And the McSussybaka fries because they looked good. But I'm still very cautiously pessimistic and cautiously cynical. And so we waited. And we didn't have to wait long. Amogus, the waiter said. Here you go. I believe your order number is order Amogus. And so we were like, yeah, sure. What type of number is Among Us? And they were like, it's Among Us. And so I looked at my McSussyBaka's nuggets, and I will admit they looked really sus. Not because they were processed in a factory and shipped around to fast food restaurants, but because they were actual sus. I'll explain. The McSussyBaka's nuggets were a mix of blue and green, and they were covered in chocolate with sparkles and what smelled like poo-poo, and of course meat. Not the actual meat that you'd find in living creatures, but the meat you'd get when you process it in factories. And so we took a bite. And another thing I'd like to mention too is the McSussyBaka's fries were also really sus. Because they changed color like a rainbow. At 1 minute, they'd be purple. The next minute, they'd be green. The next minute after that, they'd be normal French fry color of yellow. And then they'd be orange. They just changed color. And so I'm like, what type of fast food practices is this? I know that fast food restaurants aren't ideal, but still, this is just taking it too far, man. It's just too far. And so I took a bite of the McSussyBaka's fries, and for some reason, despite the fact that they constantly changed color, they actually tasted relatively good. They tasted okay. Even by fast food standards, they tasted really good. Then I took another fry just to be on the safe side, and it tasted like murder. It tasted like, I don't know, mints. And then I tried another fry. Ugh! It tasted like sweaty ass socks from the boys' locker room. The boys' locker room. Oh, my mouth is open. And then I looked at the McSussyBaka's chicken nuggets, and I ate them. They were sweet. They had chicken. They were mix of candy that comprised of peppermints, cinnamon, hot sauce, ice cream, chicken, turkey, and vegetables. It tasted like a mix of actual meat and also vegan meat. And my mom and dad were looking at me like, stop being a baby, you idiot. Eat the food. Try new things. And then I'm like, why don't you try new things? And so then they tried it. And in their horror, they also experienced tragedy. Except it wasn't murder tragedy. It was just tragically bad taste. And so then we all went to the bathroom. And we vomited and crapped. For hours and hours on end. We just wanted this to be a brief stop. But no, it wasn't. And while we were suffering in the background, I could just keep on hearing that cringy country music. Yankee Doodle went to town, riding on a pony. I'm a feather and go to macaroni. I like America. I like capitalism. America is super good and you will really rock. And so I'm just like, I'm suffering. I'm suffering. And I just hear this country music playing in the background. This country music cringe. And then, after hours of dying, we were finally free. Our bodies were back to normal. But we were still hungry. And so we reluctantly finished our meals, and for some sussy reason, they tasted really good. And then we left, wondering what the hell just happened. But we never figured it out. We never knew why it was the way it was. And so, the story of McSussyBaka's ended there and then. And that's the end of my story. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.